Can we talk about renewables? What about those alternatives? Why can't they fill the gap?
So let's just review the numbers again, because I think if you just see the basic numbers, this should you should at least assume it's absurd, and then the burden of proof would be on the other side. So again, the world is drastically short of energy. So there are 6 billion people in the world who use an amount of energy that almost everyone watching this would consider totally unacceptable. So the world is starved of energy. Fossil fuels provide 80% of the world's energy, and they're growing. This is very important. And they're particularly growing in the parts of the world that care most about low-cost, reliable energy, such as China. So what that points to is there's something special about fossil fuels. We've been hearing about renewable alternatives for 20 plus years. They've gotten massive subsidies, which that should be suspicious, because if they're so good, why do they need subsidies? They have all sorts of preferences, including absolute mandates that we use them. And they're still 3% of the world's energy. They specifically provide only electricity, which is a relatively small portion of the world's energy itself. And they depend entirely on controllable, reliable sources, mostly fossil fuels, but also to some extent nuclear and hydro. So this is a parasitical, dependent 3% of the world's energy that needs to be subsidized and mandated. And we think it's going to replace all fossil fuel use for the people who have fossil fuels now and for the billions of people who lack energy. This should seem totally absurd, and it is. There's no actual evidence that these are really good, incredible replacements. And if you look at the places that use the most solar and wind, they add costs. And the reason is pretty simple. Because these things are unreliable, they can go near zero at any given time. So you need to pay both for the unreliable solar and wind infrastructure and for the reliable, mostly fossil fueled infrastructure. So I consider this whole renewables can rapidly replace fossil fuels. This is just a scam perpetrated by people who don't really care about energy.